This is the It's Time to Refresh podcast with Brad Riffresh, the podcast about life, music, traveling, shit, literal shit that is, and weird and wacky stories with Brad, and a range of guests from the planet Earth. Feel free to share the pod with your pals, your mom, your neighbor's dog, or even your shrink. It's all fun. You can follow our Facebook group called It's Time to Refresh Community, or It's Time to Refresh on Instagram. Write into the pod, ask questions, and share your stories. Enjoy the pod.
Hey kid, what time is that?
It's time to refresh.
Back once again with another podcast. This is episode 38, if I'm not mistaken. 38 episodes in. It's been quite a journey so far, but
some big names as well, man. It's been good.
On the podcast this week, we've got returning guest Chris Lockie. How we doing?
I'm good, man. Really good.
Although it wasn't that long ago that you came on. I can't remember what episode it was. I did check before as well. But there seems to be. Well, we've had the sort of
loads
summer, yeah.
Loads have happened, man. Really busy summer. Probably DJ'd this year more than ever. Ever. Loads and loads of gigs, loads of wee small gigs, loads of stuff. Then Solfest for the Foreplay brand. That was absolutely massive, man. Like massive. Blew my mind as
all the expectations are out the water.
Everything, I mean, we were sort of dropped in at the deep end, but like I was saying, normally when you roll up, it's like, there's your stage, put some sound on it, put some lights on it, put some DJs on, and jobs away, but rolled up, it was just an empty tent. It's like, oh my God.
It's quite a big tent now as well, isn't it, considering?
Yeah, I think next year, we're going to get a smaller one next year. I'd rather have a tent that held 200 with 50 in it than a tent that held 500 with 50 in it. Do you know what I mean? But Solfest, they loads of feedback for them. They were really, really chuffed with it.
Yeah.
And he said to us, can you slightly diverse from disco a bit? I was like, not a problem, man. We'll put some house and that on. But we've just got to watch with other stages that were no
stepping on toes or out like that.
That were no playing the same type of music at the same time, because it defeats the whole purpose of the multiple stages then. So. But it was massive. It was absolutely huge. The weekend went in a heartbeat as well.
It's a good vibe that weekend, isn't it? Like really good. Like one thing that sticks out in my head. I know this is fucking stupid. And then I know you'll obviously agree as well. But fucking, they've got like a good variation of food. Do
you know something? We said that because this year, I think my boy tried just about every single one of them for something. And I'd say to Rich, this is festival food's changed. Remember, and it was like shitty burgers and £5 burgers and £6 hot dogs, and they were just shit.
And they were shit. They were barely worth a quid.
I'd probably bought a tin for £1.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And but the whole, right across the festival scene, because we've been to a few different things, and that seems to be the norm now.
Well, we were talking off pod just then. We should have recorded the first bit of it. We'll talk about an hour. But I was talking, saying that I went to Wanna See Festival this year, Tribute Festival.
Yeah.
I went in with a less than open mind. So I'm like, Tribute Festival, why not just go to the fucking real thing? But she was like, no, but I know all these songs and everything like that. So it's like, she's like, yeah, we could go to Leeds Festival, but I don't know half the bands that are on. She goes, I'd be there for Arctic Monkeys. That's probably it. Like, yeah. So all right then, what's up to you? Whatever, because obviously you can't go and see Prince anymore. Do you know what I mean? No, you can't go and see Queen. So yeah. And I went. One thing I noticed is some people take fucking liberties. Like, went to this one stall, and I was like, oh, that looks fucking class. That it was a gin stall, so I'd done all these type of different gins and all that. Got there, and I got two. I was like, there was someone in front of me, and what had happened was, there was no prices or anything on it, and I was like, right, that was a red flag straight away.
Aye.
And then
everyone's a turn up.
Listen to this. And a lad I work with was in front of us, and he goes, I wouldn't get off there, pal, we've just bought these drinks, 48 quid for 4 drinks. So
£48?
£48 for 4 drinks.
For 4 drinks?
Four gins. and there were smalls as well. Like there were mixes, like, but there were it was only one shot in it. £12 a drink.
So that is taking the piss, that man. That's
So I still bought it as well, fucking stupidly. I don't even know why, but it just looked too good. I just wanted to try it. I mean, I fucking drank every last drop.
Was it worth £12?
No, it was honestly, it was just didn't do anything, and the mixes, because like usually when you get pricey, more elegant drinks, they do like a fancy cocktail that they've made themselves, like a mixer at home. This was just like pink gin and lemonade and stuff like that. So it was like and it was fresh lemonade. So that was one of the selling points. But it was
as opposed to non-fresh lemonade.
So yeah, that's what we got. It was fucking, so £12. That was one of my things. But I must say the quality of the food everywhere. It is a bit pricey, but fucking, it's definitely like
captive audience though, isn't it, man? Do you know what I mean? I think everything was about a tenner. Everything's about 10 or 12 quid, man. Do you know what I mean?
I've been to a few festivals.
The quality you're getting now is miles better than it used to be.
Yeah.
I'd like to say, remember, it was shitty burgers and hot dogs, man.
Yeah, and you have to survive off that for a weekend. But I must say though, like, of all the festivals I've been to, there's only one that sticks out in my mind, and that was Solfest. And I remember we went there. I think I played. What year was it? I played for the Unity Sessions boys. Do you know them?
Oh yes, from
Carlisle.
Carlisle.
Yeah. So I played for Unity Sessions. Big Shot Paddy and that as well. You remember getting some of them on the podcast,
A good shout, that man.
Anyways, and they said about go and try this food, because everyone knows I'm a foodie. I don't know if it's they look at me and go, he likes food, or they know me personally. They said go down to it was like, you had a stage like, so cause I remember talking to you, and it was like down in the bottom corner, it was pie and mash thing, if you can remember it.
Pie and mash.
Right, so it's all different types of pies, all homemade, and they had a big fucking stock of them for the weekend. I had it, and it's still the best festival food I've ever had in my life. Yeah. Like, class.
Local as well, that's the thing, man.
Class. I've been to some festivals and there's been alright food, but it always seems to be like a Chinese, where it's like they do a basic chow mein and stuff like that. And it's fair enough, it's nice and it does the job, but this was like, I'd go and get this at home. It wasn't just like other things. But yeah, so Solfest, we're talking off pod there.
It was amazing, man, absolutely unbelievable. The weekend flew in, all the DJs brought their A game, all of them.
Is any standout sets? Just out of...
Yeah, for me, the standout set of the weekend was Darren's. Darren was on Darren played Friday night. Dan Walker. Everybody loves Alf. He's one of our guys on Foreplay.
What was his name, sorry?
Darren Walker. Everybody loves Alf's his stage name.
Right, everyone loves Alf. I have seen his name on flyers.
His set was one of my favourites of the weekend, man.
Disco.
Everyone was right. Everyone was right.
Class. I do appreciate it. Disco, like, do you know what I mean?
And on the Sunday, we opened the tent in the morning. I said to Rachel, I can't do disco today. She's like, what do you mean you can't do disco? I says, I've had like 4 days yet, man. I says, can we just... So we had a wander about. We ended up sitting outside the Hive.
Yeah.
There's a girl called Gabs. Go check her out. Progressive House. Really good. It reminded me of the first time I heard Northern Exposure. Sasha Digweed.
Right.
That vibe she was on. And just... It was probably the way we were feeling that day, the amount we had to drink.
Yeah.
Sat out in the sun. Everybody was just sitting down, and it was just really good. Right. Really good.
Local, is it?
No,
I've never heard of it. That's all.
I'll send you a link.
Right.
She's got a few mixes on her page. She's really good. Progressive House, and obviously Orbital, man. Orbital are one of my top.
I didn't see Orbital, right? So I just wanted to know: are they doing stuff as a band live, or is it an Orbital DJ set?
No, it's live.
Right, yeah,
it's live.
Because I've seen them in the studio when they do everything live when they play back. So I just didn't know whether it was.
No, they were. It was live. I think that's the third time or fourth time I've seen them, and they're just amazing, man.
A lot of people don't realise as well. They are like pioneers of that scene. They were the first. So I remember years ago, and then there was like a point where everyone discovered that they could produce music themselves. Where it's like, oh well, Like, you don't need to get it from Chicago. You don't need to get it from anywhere like that.
Yeah.
And I think that they were one of the first to get in the UK to get big off something that was made in their house, essentially.
Yeah, pioneers of the scene, man. I mean, I'm 45, so
Yeah.
they must be in their 50s, the two of them must be in their
Maybe
50s.
maybe even more as well.
Could be, aye.
But yeah, Orbital class.
Absolutely amazing, man. My boy, I think, was I playing? Can't mind. He'd gone to see Pendulum. I think they did a DJ set. He'd gone to see Pendulum. And, or live, I don't know. Anyway, he rolled back into our tent about midnight, like, wow, what's up, you? Fucking hell, that was amazing. Oh, calm down. What's going on? Just like everybody started jumping, and I was stuck in between everybody, and I couldn't no jump, and I was like, right, and something touched him. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, it was amazing. I was like, right, that's whatever's happened to you it's touched you somewhere inside. Do you know what I mean?
Out of curiosity,
Brilliant,
though,
man.
like, this is just me thinking, because as stupid as it sounds, I don't see many younger ravers anymore. Like,
No.
So has he come home and researched them or out at all?
He's come home. He's listened to them a wee bit, but he's into he's into drum and bass and grime at the minute, man.
Right.
And that's the drum and bass thing is good, because I've noticed recently. I listen to Radio 2.
Yeah, I do, yeah. Master, Ken Bruce. Fucking love it.
I'm of the age where I listen to Radio 2, but Rachel still hammers Radio 1, so I've got back into listening to Radio 1 like tonight when I'm working tonight, so on the way to gig I'll listen to Radio 1 on the way there.
Yeah.
But then I listen to Radio 2 on the way back, because it's Ramesh.
It's more soothing, isn't it?
What's the comedian's name?
Yeah, I know Ramesh, yeah.
He does like a hip hop show.
Right.
It's brilliant, man. So I listen to that on the way back. And I've noticed that Radio 1 are now playing drum and bass as a mainstream, which I think is phenomenal. It's where house was 98, 99, you know, when it started creeping into Radio 1, and you would hear tracks that you'd heard the night before in a club.
More underground sort of bass tracks.
Aye, and it's the same happening with drum and bass at the minute, man. And I think house music isn't dying. It's not dying. It's just gone. There's other genres coming to the front, I think, now.
Yeah. It's just no, it's cycle though, isn't it? Because do you not think, like, this is just my opinion of what I've seen as a producer with trends and what I've seen when I've been in nightclubs, is that everything has obviously got a cycle, but like house is always a mainstay. It's always there. It might not be the biggest, but it's always got that strong core thing there. There's always a room 2 with house on, regardless of what's in room 1. And I find that, like, so for instance, now you've got a couple of the younger lads doing it's house music, but it's essentially they're breaking into hard house. So you see, it's really big within Beatport at the minute. It's I'm trying to think of that. Ben Helmsley. He's
been to see him.
Yeah,
really good.
Is it
really good, man? Where did we see him? I think we see him in Electric Supermarket.
Right.
It was class. It was really good, man.
I've never seen him, but I follow sort of his sound, because he did a couple of tunes, and put it this way, it's like house music. I could get away with playing it in a bounce set. So what does that tell you? Do you know what I mean? Like,
there's a crossover somewhere. You'll find as well, a lot of the young producers, especially Ben Helmsley from the North East. If you read his story, his ma was a raver. Yeah. His ma's probably my age, you know what I mean? And I think it's his Radio 1 Essential. He's done an Essential mix. If you listen to his Essential mix, there's loads of, I call them old school, they're no old school. The stuff when we were younger, tracks when we were younger, there's loads of wee influences and bits of tracks in it, and it's a really well put together thing. We went to see a Scottish DJ called Hannah Lane on Boxing Day. Oh wow, blew my mind.
She's playing hard now. She's literally shout to Dave Gray. I know he watches these as well. Dave Gray runs a record label called Cheeky Tracks.
Right.
And you could tell that he was absolutely pulling his cock off when a producer who I'm quite fond of as well, is really, really good. And for me, he came out of nowhere. It was a lad called Kid Dynamo.
Right.
I'll show you the tune up when we're finished. It's called Love So Deep. Really, really good tune. And she played it at Creamfields.
Right.
And I mean, I know obviously in your style of music you've got like house and disco and that. You're used to seeing it on sort of them sort of stages.
Yeah.
But hearing a hard house tune getting played to that many people,
Main
it's
stage
like
Greenfield.
as I say, it's $2,000 over again. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
But she's a massive pusher of hard house.
She's got a really mad style, man. When we seen the gig was coming up, we always get on Boxing Day. I've got another story about that as well. We always get on Boxing Day. So I'd said to Rachel, we'll go and see Hannah Lang. Great. So phoned Johnny, we sorted tickets and all that out. And my daughter came out with us.
Right.
This is her first indoor clubbing. She's been to loads of festivals with me and stuff like that, and this was her first indoor clubbing. So I was like, right, go in here, maybe see stuff you shouldn't be seeing, etc., etc. I says, but you go to uni in a couple of years, man, so just come with us. So we
priming
went
for
in.
it, really, aren't you?
Yeah, man, and she loved it. And Hannah Lang, her style was brilliant, man. It was like techno, and you get a couple of trance tracks thrown in. Then all of a sudden, you break into a couple of hard house tracks, and it just like the fucking energy in the room is absolutely unbelievable. Really, really, really good night, man.
I did a Christmas special with Rob Kane and ADF. I'm not changing the subject; it is on the same subject, but and they talked about how British people, when we get hold of something, we bastardise it. So you what style of music do you play? Oh, I play disco house, or whatever, and then you play tech house. That's a tech house. Do you not think these younger names who are coming through, like as I said, Ben Hamsley, Hannah Lang, Patrick Toppin, Ben Nicky. I've talked about it before on the podcast, but they play multi-genre. They don't care that it's a techno track.
No.
They don't care that it's a fucking disco tune. If they think it's gonna work,
That's what DJs should do.
Yeah.
What we've done is we've pigeonholed stuff. Like I remember when there was house, it was trance, and you had hardcore and stuff like that. Now there's multiple subgenres, and it's just bullshit, man. Do you know what I mean? If you like it, play it. Patrick Toppin was one that came up the other day because he did a warehouse project.
Right.
He did a 7-hour set sometime this year. He did it, and I've started listening to the whole thing. I've broken it down into sections. I've listened to it in sections. But
what is it online? Sorry.
It's on his SoundCloud page. I go and check it out. It's on his SoundCloud page. Really, really good set. If you listen to what he's playing, you can't pin it down. You can't pin it. You can pin sections of the mix down and say, oh, he's played such and such at this time and such and such at that time.
Just what fits together, isn't it?
What fits together, aye. And honestly, it's brilliant. It's absolutely genius. But 7 hours, that was a shift and a half, man. His ears must have been burst.
But I think it's class that like people are getting to do this. Like for me, I've this is just my personal experience as well. I've tested stuff and tried to play a bit of with bounce music, for instance. If I go to a bounce gig, they are very much narrow-minded, and I know bounce listeners are listening to it going, no, we're not. But deep down, they know they are.
They've come for that.
If a tune hasn't got a big thumping donk in it, right, they do get a bit disconnected.
Right.
There's tunes that you might get away with, like hard house tunes.
Aye.
But for me, like I might play a bit of it's Candide, as it's called. I love it, but it doesn't seem to be big in this country. It's like Spanish hard dance, so it's like a crossover between bounce and like trance. It's got like a roll and bass line,
Right, yeah.
And I've played that in the past, where you just see the deflate a bit on the dance floor. So quickly you've got to get it mixing. You might only play fucking 30 seconds of it, but they're just not into it.
Mix it out as quick as you can. Get
I just wish people were more open-minded. Same with hard house.
Yeah.
I heard a tune by Digital Mafia, David Jackson, and I thought, fuck me, this will go down well in a bounce club, because it was a solid hard house tune. That's what it was, and mixed it in, played it. It just didn't get the reaction that fucking
just didn't connect to it.
Nah, but it is trial and error, and I will continue to keep trying it.
Well, you've got to, man. That's part of what DJing's about. Do you know what I mean? Just keep introducing. The folk don't know they want to hear it when they hear it.
There's loads of like, obviously when you hear a tune and it's got like that solid bass, like donk bass line, and you're like, that's a safe track. I can play that, and I won't even need to. I could look away. I wouldn't even need to, because see, for me, I don't know about you, but how do you do your DJ sets? So you rock up. Have you got tunes in mind you're gonna play, or how? What's your process?
I've cheated a bit this year. So what I've done this year is I buy new music monthly.
Yeah.
Right, like I've been buying music this morning. Actually, I'm playing tonight, so I was buying music this morning. I'll probably have, I don't know, on my stick, I've probably got about 12 folders. I don't put too much on, because you put too much on, you just end up snowblind with it. Yeah. And then I've got the history folders.
Right.
So if I was playing a gig tonight, I could look through the history folders and like, hang on, that word, that set word.
Is this record box?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Okay. You've lost me, that's all.
Oh, sorry.
I don't use record box.
Right.
Just because of laziness, to be honest. I think I've talked about this in a podcast before as well, but for me, someone told me to get, I think it might be Todd said, get record box, whatever, everyone uses it, and I was like, yeah, sound, I'll move with the times. I'm quite forward thinking like that. I'll embrace change as well. And I put it on my computer and started loading my tunes, and I just put one folder in. One folder had like, I don't know, 1,000 tunes or something, and it said like a day and a half, and I thought, cancel, I'll just stick to what I know.
It's Dane's analysing them, man. I use it for I've got a controller as well, so it's my base program, but I'll rock up with either history folders or tracks I know. I'll have like a core amount of tracks.
So with record box, it's what saved memory to the stick.
You load the analysed tracks on the stick, and the CDJs read them and they analyse that. But once you've played off that stick, it creates a history folder.
Well, the history is stored onto the stick
of what you've played.
So let's for instance, I sound stupid doing this, but just because I don't use it, I don't understand it. If you were to be in your house, you've got your fucking, what is it you've got? What do you use?
1,000 DDJ 1,000.
Right, so you've got that. If you plugged your memory stick into that, played a set, and went and plugged into some CDJs in a club, will it have the same history, or does it need to be the same
history?
Right, so
as long as you've used the stick. Right. If you play all the tracks off the stick, I'm a
DJ and I sound so fucking stupid.
How you DJ works for you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason I got Record Box was because I've got the controller.
Yeah.
And we're using the CDJs. It just, for me, it makes it easier. Do you know what I mean? You can set up start points, you can set up cue points, you can set up loop points. Don't get me wrong, it takes a long, do you know what I mean? You've got to sit down and work through it. And never done that, but for me, it just works. It works.
So when you're DJing, do you DJ on the fly? Or have you got...
Most of the time, most of the time. I mean, this year's been really easy for DJing on the fly because I've played so often, you know the tracks inside out now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I know that definitely works with that. That works with that. I've got to take that out there. I've got to do this. But mostly on the fly.
Right.
I used to, years ago when I started, I was meticulous. Do you know what I mean? I'd spend 2 to 3 weeks if I had a gig coming up, prepping and getting everything right and making sure everything worked. But
there's no right or wrong way of doing it at all.
No. It's whatever works for you, man. That's the best way.
Well, for me, I've always DJed on the fly. Maybe it's out of laziness, or maybe I don't know. But for me, I like to connect with the audience. I like to. It sounds stupid because it's not a soap opera or anything like that. But I like to build drama, and I like to. If it feels right in that moment, you've got that intenseness to it where you bring it in. If it was a pre-recorded set, you're not 100% sure it's well. No, it's not that you're not connected. It's you're not 100% sure that it's gonna work. I remember once where I thought I'm gonna do some smart ass mixing and whatnot, and it was for a gig where I thought it could open up doors if I put on a show here. This could do well. So I started planning this thing, and I got to the third tune in of the set, and I just thought it's going all right. The crowd are responsive, but if I was doing it this way, if I was just doing it on the fly, calling it on the fly, I'd have them more engaged, and so I just differed away from it. And ever since, I've never done it. So I've only ever done it once.
Yeah.
Thinking I should really do it to do some fancy mix and stuff.
Yeah.
And since you just don't get the same connect for me personally. That's why I asked you.
There's got to be an element of doing it on the fly because you've got to be able to. Well, you've got to be willing and able to change, depending on, like you say, what's happening on the floor. Are they connecting me? Are they not connecting? Are they into it? Are they not into it? Are they looking for something else?
Yeah. So for you've got your 12 folders. What out of curiosity, what do you categorise? Do you just is it by genre?
Dates. dates of when I bought that music.
Right. Okay.
So it'll be like today's date. I don't know. What's today's date? 30th. Today's folder will be the 30th of December 22.
Right.
And it's easier for me that way because I can remember. It's mad. Music for me is like a timestamp.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't tell you what year it is or whatever, but I could probably tell you. See that tune there? Aye. Oh, I was at such and such. We did that year, or we did this that year. It triggers a memory for me.
Yeah.
And storing them in date purchased order for me works. I've always done it. I've always done it, man. I don't know why. I spoke to Grant Bethwaite about it, and Grant does the same.
Yeah.
But I've got mates who put it into genres and by artist and by title and stuff like that. But for me, it's just dates. It works.
My layout on my memory sticks, I just do like by genre, and then. So, for instance, if I've got a bounce gig tomorrow, I want to play a lot of my stuff and upfront stuff, whatever. But I might throw a classic in. So I've got like classics we'd dated when they were released. So I date from like 02 to 03, and then do you know what I mean? So then I know I'm a bastard when it comes to remembering tunes and when they came out. So I'll know when it came out. Know straight away where to go. You know what I mean? So I'm in the subgenre of say tech house. Right, tech house, but that came out in 2018. Know exactly when everything was. Yeah. And I don't know if you do date purchased, it would causes so much confusion in my brain. It wouldn't work. You know what I mean? It'd be like
that's the thing. No, there's no rules with it. Do you know what I mean? It's just however you get it to. You can make it stick in your mind.
As a DJ, I think any DJs listening to this will be like, this is. They're either agreeing with me,
there's other folk date as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we were talking off pod as well about Solfest next year. So
Solfest next year,
you've got a tent confirmed.
Yep, got a stage confirmed again. Solfest were really happy. They've asked us to sort of diverse a wee bit for the disco, so we are looking at things like classic house and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we're going to plan it round how the other stages are playing, because again, you don't want to be playing the same stuff on other stages because it completely defeats the purpose. We've possibly got we're looking at Beat Herder as well. Right. This year, we were talking of pod before. Tonight's going to be the last radio show, foreplay radio show for a while. That's us done nearly 3 years.
Right.
Long time, every Friday for 3 years. So,
for those who don't know, do you just want to tell them what it is?
We have a weekly radio show, foreplay, and it goes out on People City Radio, which the guys are based in Bradford. Big shout to PCR family. We've ran it for 3 years. We started on St B's Community Radio. It came out of, spoke about it last time, it came out of boredom and something today and trying to help the community. Massive guests, man. John, we've had Spen, Todd Terry, Michael Gray, just huge list. And it was after Solfest, we were all a bit fried and we were a really busy year. So it was becoming a bit of a chore. So we sat down, had a meeting about it, and we were like, we'll knock it in the head for a bit, man. We're not going to cancel it completely. I don't want to cancel it completely. We'll probably end up revisiting it again. Maybe not every week. It might just turn into a bi-weekly or a monthly thing, but definitely bring it back. What we're moving forward doing is we're going to start concentrating on SoundCloud. So what will happen is January I'll take control of the SoundCloud page, and we're not sticking to a genre either. So I've spent ages going through SoundCloud, find one of your mixes I like that, I'll put that, but we'll post them as like a spotlight. We'll have a spotlight folder for like my month, so I'll pick as many mixes as I want. I'll put a couple in myself, a couple of fresh mixes in myself.
Interesting.
And we're just going round because we looked at other projects where we've still got one that's kind of in the works at the minute, like a foreplay dark or foreplay after or something. I'm starting introducing things like tech house and techno and bringing the slightly darker side, because disco's quite...
It's upbeat, isn't it?
It's upbeat and light and airy, do you know what I mean? Where we start bringing in some of the darker. There's a couple of lads are banging into techno and stuff, and my brother and I are into trance and stuff like that. So we're just starting to bring more people in. Hopefully it's going to open the brand up to a whole new bunch of people. That's the plan for that. We are also concentrating on us playing as DJs together. We did
like a 4
4 or 5 is now.
Or 5 way
we
back.
did back to back at Solfest for 2 hours, and it was an absolute blast. It was
more
really
fun
good.
than just DJing yourself.
Oh, miles more fun, man, because it's the only thing, it was only 2 hours, and with 5 you don't get many tracks, so I'd say to lads, maybe next year make it a bit longer. So that's what's going to be on tonight's radio show, is our back-to-back recorded at Solfest.
Alright, that's interesting.
It was really good crack, man, but I think for it to work, we would probably need to do a start to finish. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like have a day or a night where we did just us 5 start to finish.
Not bad.
So
You're not all burning yourselves out as well at the same time.
Well, that's it. And we're concentrating on us as a DJ collective. We've got some irons in the fire for Kendall Collin, going as a collective as well. So that's what we're trying to push.
Excellent.
That's the direction that we're taking the brand in. A lot more live gigs, a lot more gigs in general, and concentrating on us as a collective. We've still got ties with the radio show, the radio station. Any live gigs that we do, we've spoken to them, and they're more than willing to live broadcast from the gigs. We've done it a couple of times.
Yeah.
We'll probably do it in the summer. We'll do Solfest. We've got Mighty Booth as well.
Right.
Cancelled for last year. Tickets roll over to this year.
When's that, sorry?
August. I think it's the week before Solfest, maybe the weekend before Solfest.
Okay, right, yeah.
I think, with Solfest being at the end. And really, we're just pushing the brand more, but we're going with a different direction, mate. As I say, we're going to be running it mainly through the SoundCloud page.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff on the other socials, but like we were talking before about TikTok and some stuff, I think that's going to be somewhere we're going to have to look at, because the amount of exposure, like you were saying, exposure you're getting through is phenomenal, and people seeing the clips and hearing the music and then jumping to the
I said to you off pod, TikTok, Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels has blew this podcast up, and it's I've got no. If we're going to talk marketing, right? I'm talking about marketing the podcast on my own podcast, but I put a bit of money into this per week. Every episode, I put in X amount of cash.
Yeah.
And it's only since I started putting the money in, I started seeing results.
Aye. Yeah.
So, social media is your friend, but it also wants to take your money. Just be aware of that.
Oh, aye.
And but for organic, natural engagement without throwing it in anyone's face, these reels and these TikToks is so fucking good. It's like, it's amazing that it's free, and I imagine at some point it will cost.
So somebody will snatch on it.
Yeah, because like, for instance, I put a clip out yesterday, and within 2 hours it had 10,000 views, and it's like
phenomenal.
Like, I couldn't pay for that. Do you know what I mean? I can't pay for that sort of exposure.
It's something that we need. I mean, I'm going to sound really old, but I'm scared of stuff like TikTok.
Yeah.
I've never used it. Do you know what I mean? It's not fear. It's like concerns. You know what I mean? I don't know much about it. I'm going to have to get one of the kids to sit down. That's how old I'm getting now, man. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to have to get one of the kids to sit down and go through it with me. But I think that's going to be our plan as well. We sections of a mix with some visuals on a video.
Yeah.
Come check it out, like you do, links at the bottom and stuff like that. That's going to be fun. But for the 4Play brand at the minute, man, we're on the lull. We're all off for Christmas. I've got the show to sort out. It's all there. It just needs pieced together this afternoon, then sent, and that'll be the last show. A wee bit. Are you emotional? Aye, man. It's been our baby for 3 years. Do you know what I mean? And
you got to look back at it with fond memories. But obviously, right now you feel burnt out.
Aye, without a doubt, man. There's nothing but fond memories in it. Do you know what I mean? We met so many people through it. So many new people we've met through it, and it's brilliant, man.
Excellent. So we're talking about the booth there. We could go over. So we were talking off pod as well. It's fucking so much off the pod, but
we just recorded for the
start. I was saying there, it was 10 years ago since I first played for the booth for you.
That's right.
The outdoor festivals. We'll go over them if you wanted to, because I thought they were fucking. They were good, strange times, but good. Like, because like, Whitehaven never really seen a outdoor festival up until that point.
No, not really, no. And it was the main focus of the festival, as and what was and is the bands. It's a big band.
Yeah.
There's a big indie following in Whitehaven itself, which is great, man. Do you know what I mean? Not about with Danny, and I've come across so many bands I'd never heard of and never seen them.
Loads of young lads that I went to school with who have started their own bands and that. That's their main platform, and it does get them.
Get some great exposure, man. Do you know what I mean? Some of the bands that they've had, no last year before, but
they had who was it? Some of the headliners they've had's been fucking pretty heavy as well.
The ones they had in 2020, 2021, sorry, they had booked them before their album blew up.
Right.
So they were on tour anyway, and they're huge.
Class. Who was it, you know?
Snots, something like that. I don't know. I've just made a dick of myself here. I don't
know. No, it's alright. But even still, if you look back at the flyers that when I was first booked on them with you, some of the names on there, they're quite fucking big bands now, really. They weren't so starting out, but they were definitely breaking the teeth on, and they were using that as a good sort of thing. But I really rate the Mighty Booth stuff that they do, because without it there wouldn't be the indie scene around here that there is.
No, and it's the likes of Danny bringing people to Civic Hall, and I mean, I've been to God knows how many gigs in the Civic Hall to see bands, and Sound of Guns, Liverpool band that I was introduced to, and love them. I absolutely love them. But the Mighty Booth as the main music seeming to be it. It's been great. I mean, the dance stage was put in as like every festival had a wee dance stage, didn't it? There's the main band, so but it's kind of grown for there. I mean, there's been a few people running it. Luckily enough, it sort of fell at our door. And it's going to be good, man. Hopefully it'll be a slightly bigger tent we get this year. Right. Moved about, because we had the wee trailer last year, which was class. But
I didn't see that. I don't think.
It was class, but it was too. Everyone was just too bunched together last year.
Sorry, I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see it. Yeah.
So I think we're going to be up on top of the hill next time,
right?
And a wee tent up there, so we can get a decent sound system and stuff in.
Excellent.
Looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. We've got everything in motion at the minute. We've even started planning Soulfest at the minute, man. That's how.
You've got to be on the ball, haven't you? Especially advertising like big festivals, because there's a lot of money behind it. You need to get a good 8-month run up to it. Do you know what I mean?
Easily, and it's like I was saying before. It is. We've still got to build everything inside the tent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're going to sink a fair bit of money into production this year.
Excellent.
And just try and make it as good. Last year we had quite a minimal look in the tent.
Yeah.
We didn't want to go too far. Do you know what I mean? You can make it too busy. We've got these balloons that look like disco balls.
Right.
And we hung them. We strung them up on the roof and the top of the tent. You couldn't tell they were balloons. But once the lights were on and everything's going, it looked really cool, man. So again, just wee touches, but we were super conscious not to go too far.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Make the tent look too busy or make it look tacky and stuff. And there was a couple of graffiti artists, can't remember names now. Leah was the girl's name. I said to them, "Can you do us a bit of artwork for inside the tent?"
I've seen these lot. Do they go every year?
I think so.
Yeah, I've seen them in action.
And they did us two big bits of wood. And they said, "What do you want?" I was like, "Just disco's New York, innit? 70s, 80s, just like a subway train, like a carriageway, just tagging on it. What would you want on it?" I was like, "Just 4 places, but just crack on, do what you do."
Yeah.
And they were absolutely. I've got pictures. I'll show you pictures.
Send pictures, and I'll drop it into the podcast now.
Brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant.
Class.
But it's just been a really busy year, man. Like I was saying before, I think in June, 8 dates, I think I played 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And it's just, you got to watch with burning yourself out, man, because I think that's what we did. We got to the end of summer, and I played the first gig since Soulfest was last week, and I've knocked them back just simply because I didn't have the heart to
do it,
to put into it. Do you know what I mean? I'll tell you what I've started listening to as well.
Go on.
Going right the other way. Megadeth.
Right.
I was listening to Metallica, and mate Ry Stanger was talking to me about it.
He's a producer, isn't he?
Yeah. And he says, try Megadeth. He sent me the album, and blew my mind.
See, I do like heavier end of rock music.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get into Megadeth at all. for me, I can't get into Metallica either.
Oh, really?
People say, like, obviously you get your Metallica fans, and they're like, "Oh, listen to the earlier stuff. It's much better." I listen to
The
full
early
album,
bassist.
and then I listen to the newer stuff, and there are two completely different sounds, but both sounds weren't for me. So I've got a list of really odd bands I don't like.
Right.
Yeah, like people are like, how can you not like them? Like the genius, the musical geniuses. And I'm like, there's just something that just doesn't click with me.
One of those bands that are on my list is Radiohead, man.
Do you like Radiohead? No,
I don't get it. I keep saying this. I say it to everybody. There's no bad music. There's no shit music. There's just music you don't get.
Yeah.
It's somebody's expression, and I don't get the Radiohead thing, man. Don't get me wrong. Next time you see me, I might have listened to 2 hours. Think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Do you know what I mean? But it was the same with Metallica for years. Couldn't get away with metal. I just didn't understand it, and it was the Black Album. Bryce Steiner told me to listen to the Black Album, and that was what turned me on.
That as well. Like, still, just for me, I get as. Well, the thing with Metallica is they've got some really nice chord progressions, and I'm like, oh, I can appreciate that. But I don't know if it's their sound or their appeal. I just don't get it.
Just don't get it.
So here's one for you, which I don't understand. Right, can't stand the Foo Fighters. Right, can't stand their music. Right,
get that.
I love Dave Grohl. Like, how is it that he appeals to me so much? Right, but I don't.
You just don't get away with the music.
I don't get the thing. I like Nirvana and that. He was drumming Nirvana, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So I like Nirvana and that. Kurt Cobain's voice, he's fucking phenomenal. Like, if you listen to it, you can tell he's in that like fucking really emotional distress when he listens to it. But for me, like the Foo Fighters, everyone's like, how can you not like it? Listen to this tune? And then like people are always suggesting these tunes. Like, don't get it. I don't like it. I read the Dave Grohl book, The Storyteller.
My brother listened to it on Audible. Apparently it's Dave Grohl that reads it to me.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm going to have a listen to it, man.
It's quality. But he talks about Foo Fighters, and I relate to everything he talks about with the Foo Fighters and what have you. But then I listen to the music and I'm just like,
just don't get it. That's fine, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like I was saying before the Radiohead thing. I've got mates who are probably going to be watching this, but you fucking mean you don't like Radiohead? I mean, fucking I
like Radiohead. It's I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like a certain sound, because they are very distinctive. It's like if you listen to like a lot of people, right? There's a lot of people who love the Beatles, but there's equally at the same amount who hate them.
Yes.
And it's because of their sound.
Murders here, but I'm not a big Beatles fan. Stones.
Yeah, Stones.
Rolling Stones and Stones, but I don't know. I appreciate everything the Beatles did and what they did for music. Do you know what I mean? But I just don't get it. It's no my thing.
A lot of people don't, mate, honestly. But I love them, and there's like certain things. For instance, this is getting a bit fucking off course, but like they never really properly tuned the guitars, and like that you can tell when you hear it. Like there's a bit of detune there, and it's like, I love this sound. Maybe that's something that maybe the Foo Fighters do.
Man,
I don't get. Like they do something, and it just really my ear just doesn't like it. I assume, anyways.
Man,
just little things, just little things. Right. What was I going to say? There was a couple more things I wanted to talk about while you're on here. Obviously, you covered the Mighty Booth and stuff like that. So, what with the direction you're going with foreplay?
Yeah.
Are you wanting to like? Are you wanting residencies anywhere or anything like that?
We've dabbled in that a wee bit, man, and it could be something that we're interested in is residencies. Yeah. But the thing with residency is it would need to be probably like a monthly thing. Weekly, you just end up ripping the arse out it, and you get sick of it very, very. It becomes a chore very quickly, and you can tell if you go and listen to somebody who's playing and they don't want to be there playing. You can tell.
It's a connection. There's a chemistry, isn't there?
Yeah. So there's looks for that. We've also looked at starting our own night, having a residency starting our own night. So we're going to have a look for. We're in the process of looking at venues and going to start approaching people in the new year.
Well, that's what I'm doing. And you were saying about going over the top and stuff like that. Well, I did a little test run event. Did a Should Be Tunes event in Club 135.
That's right. Yeah.
And it went off massively. And you know what? I've never enjoyed a DJ set as much in a long time. It's not my favourite DJ set ever.
Yeah.
But I got to play a warm up at fucking 124 or something like that, playing house and really like obscure stuff. And it wasn't like there was maybe 20 people in to begin with when I opened the night. But bear in mind, I started playing at fucking 8:30 at night.
Aye.
I just thought, you're set up, ready to go. Started playing. I was like, and then I started building it up. And then by the end of the night, I think I was playing, finished at about 148. I know it's some obscure like that. 148. But I was playing like bits of hard house, bits of funky house, bits of... I think I only played 1 or 2 bounce tunes.
Yeah.
Played bits of old school piano. I was playing like really sort of just different stuff, and it was so much fun.
So much better.
Right, and I done it as myself on the lineup. I don't want any resident DJs on.
Yeah.
I know obviously you've got your core collective of 5 of yous. I want every DJ who's on to have earned a spot. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like, if you're doing something at the minute where it's like, this is popping off and everyone's liking it, come and play at the party. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
I don't like people when people get complacent in what they do, and it's like, I've got this residency, I don't need to care about sort of putting in the effort now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing with residencies, man. If you've got it and you're driving it every week, it becomes like that very quickly. That's the beauty when we've looked at residencies, because there's 5 years.
Yeah.
And if we had a monthly residency, we'd maybe only play 2 or 3 times in a year at that residency each. Do you know what I mean? But the big aim would be to get us all together for the one night again, because it works. It really does work, man. We've proved it works.
Absolutely.
And it was so much fun when we did it at Soulfest.
Yep.
Do you know what it was like? It reminded me of, remember when you started DJing, you'd been on your mates?
Yeah.
And they'd be like 80, sitting with 2 records each.
In a garage. Or a shed.
Waiting in your go. That's what it was like, man. That's what it reminded me of. And I played...
A lot of people lose sight of that as well. Like that, it should always be that. You could be a big DJ somewhere in fucking America, right? Doing like, I don't know, fucking Miami. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you should be there with your USB, waiting to jump on after somebody and just have a bit of a laugh and a bit of
fun,
a camaraderie to it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the first set I played since Soulfest was at Bar S last week tonight, last Friday.
Yeah.
And instantly fell back in love with it again. Instantly, because it was just, the crowd was really good. It was so much fun. I did a couple of beers and we relaxed, and it was great, man. And it was like playing in some... Bar S is really small. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's like playing in somebody's living room.
I like
it's
that.
It's brilliant, man. Really, really intimate gig. And it starts at 9:30, so there's still people sort of kicking about with food, and for about 40 minutes there's a lull period. Then all of a sudden it's as if there's a bus come in. There's loads of folk piling, man. It's like that to 12, half 12.
Did you ever go to the Stump on Kells?
Yes, been on one side. Right. That was like somebody's front room.
That was, literally. So, it's for those who won't have been, which I imagine is quite a lot of you. Is
it still there? I don't even know.
No, I don't even know if it's there. I think maybe lockdown killed it.
Did it?
But for a long time, it was like, it's just literally a house on a hill.
Yes.
You go in.
It's up on Kells, isn't it?
If I remember rightly, right? So you go in. So it's a pub.
Yes.
Right. You go in, and on the right hand side there's like a pool table and whatnot, and then you go to the left, and it's like a parlour and a living room. With a thing knocked through, and then the bar's in the living room, and they've got like a little stage. Well, one of my mates was having a little acoustic set there, so we went down to support them one night, and I thought, this is like a fucking... The atmosphere was...
Time warp, innit?
It's like...
time warp.
It was weird. It was like a house party, but like I was in a pub. It was good. Like right. So I don't want to say too much on here, because it could just be a pipe dream, or it could be something that doesn't appear into anything. But me and my missus have been talking, right?
Yep.
And she said, because we're talking about doing a club night or whatnot, I don't know. And we said about getting a mortgage on a venue.
Yeah.
Or getting a lease on a venue for somewhere local.
Yep.
Right. I won't go into too much detail about it, but basically, I don't want it just to be a nightclub. I want it to be a Saturday night where you get. There's a couple of places I've got in my head. I'll talk to you off the pod about it. But basically, it's I I want it to be like an exhibition centre, like
Yes.
but on a small scale.
Yeah.
I want it stump sort of vibe where it's it could be like the size of this room in here, DJ on in the corner or a band on, right, on a Saturday night, Saturday night. Won't overhammer it with say a bounce night. I'll do maybe a bounce night every other month, and then a house night, a disco night, and I want people to be like, this is a variety night. I want it to be like going to watch a variety show, and then through the week I want to do this is how fucking weird I am. I want to do quiz nights. So get and then as well I want this all these ideas coming into my head, and she's telling me what she's going. There's definitely nobody does this in this area. No. Right? I want to do a monthly comedy night, stand-up comedy, right?
Class that, man.
But we're looking for somewhere in which it's as small as this, but like maybe a better shape.
Aye.
So it doesn't necessarily need to always sell drink either. It can, but if I can't get a license for it or whatever, there's no reason. We'll have to sort that out with the technicality stuff. But the idea of it is I want a function room.
Aye. The fire station at Carlisle's quite a similar thing.
Yeah.
It's just basically a space. And they have bands and exhibitions and all sorts on there. But I know what you mean. It's a class idea, man.
There's nothing round here that does that.
No, there isn't.
It's because what gave it. I've always wanted to have. This is sad as fuck, right? But I'm in an industry. It's a construction and engineering industry. That's what I do as a day job. And I've always said to my missus, when I retire, we'll open up. I want to open up a coffee shop.
Right.
So that's the thing, right? So. We've talked about like weird shit like this for ages, but then this idea sort of has grew wings, and it's sort of starting to not come into motion, but we're actively looking at different what's available, and basically what we were wanting to do was make it like make clubs out of it. Like, so for instance, you might have a comedy night, the comedy club, and then it's run by one person and nice camaraderie to it, and do you know what I mean? So we went out to the Gatey the other day, watched Avatar 2. Shite, by the way.
Is it?
My missus loved it.
Oh, right? Man, I haven't seen it yet. But is it no worth the watch?
It's fucking nearly 3 hours. I won't get back on my life. I can appreciate the animation. It's fantastic, but
do you think it's one of the films where it should have just been left?
Yeah,
it's been done. Let's just leave it.
The first one was shit as well, though. So.
I liked the first one. I thought it blew my mind. Though.
Yeah, well, we'll do this in 10. What happens in it?
He gets stuck on an island, turned into this avatar. He starts leading his life through Avatar because if someone pitched that to you as a storyline for a movie, yeah, exactly. It's a fucking. It's probably the animation that's made it, you know. Yeah.
So Avatar 2, right, is shit, and the story's equally as shit.
Oh, is
right?
it?
But what they do is they do little. There's about 6 or 7 different side stories to fatten it up a bit, just to basically try and perceive it to be less shit.
Right.
And like that, they're the bits that you get sort of. My missus liked. I like this bit. Yeah, but that's a side story. It's not even part of their story. I like this bit. That's a side story. It's fucking shit. Anyways, went to the Gatey. No. Well, yeah, I appreciate a good movie. I'm a good movie critic. I am. But that's what I was saying. So we went to watch it at the Gatey. Gatey's got like a little setup in there. And we got talking about it. It's like how good would that space be in there? That
the Gatey.
Yeah, in the. Do you know where the chairs and all that are? Yeah. And just have a fucking comedy night. Someone in the corner standing there, stand-up comedy class. Yeah. Acoustic act class.
Yeah.
That's the sort of area we're looking to fill.
Right.
And then she said we should maybe go into looking into doing it.
Definitely look at it.
So as I said, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but it's there's definitely more than an idea's worth there.
Right.
We have looked into it.
Yeah.
Because people would say, "Oh, it's like not justifiable and stuff like that." Like, but if you went in with ideas,
you don't know, you'll never know.
Yeah.
You don't try, you'll never know, man.
That's my philosophy. It's like
have a dig at it and see what happens.
Yeah, it might like just give yourself a budget for the year, and then sort of if it fails, I can say I've done it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the idea. That's the idea.
You're not sitting on the sofa complaining about something you've never done.
Yeah, got to learn about Avatar 2 actually.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not going to watch it now.
no. Watch it if you want. If you like the first one, then watch it. But to me, it's nonsense. It's like people say maybe Star Wars is nonsense. I love Star Wars, but at least it's got a fucking main base of a story.
Storyline, yeah, aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
That's what I didn't get about it. So if it's all right, are we going to do some questions? If that's okay.
Yes, fire away.
Absolutely, mate.
Enjoyed the last set.
I can't remember everyone's questions what you did last time. So if there's repeat questions that people's asked, just say we did it last time and I'll move on. Questions for the pod. What's your timeless cheese classic that you wouldn't normally admit you love? And that's from DJ Cocky UK. So being a disco head, I'll do one for disco. I was thinking about this before you came.
Yeah.
Disco head. I love Gloria Gaynor. I know it's a stereotypical big disco gay tune. I love it. Like that is a fucking is that because I don't know your scene that much. Is that known as like no,
not at all. That's the basis of where
I know, but it's not like overplayed or
probably is, but it's still a classic though. I mean, Car Wash for me, Rolls Royce, man.
What's that?
Car Wash, Rolls Royce,
class,
brilliant track,
cheesy but class.
New York City Girl. I love New York stuff like that. Like for me, I've got that. We're talking about folders before, right? Yeah. I've got a folder on my stick, and it's called New York Disco, right? NY Disco, and for me, disco is symphonic. There's loads of strings in it, maybe a wee bit of horns thrown and stuff like that. And these are all, Rachel calls it stringy disco. Right. It's about 110 to 118. 118 is really quick, but it's that old school New York vibe for me.
Love it. I love it.
That's that. I've got a full folder of cheese.
For me, for cheesy tunes that I won't admit I like. See, I've got no shame. So like, I play cheese. So I don't care. Like, if I think it'll work, I wouldn't just play it. I wouldn't go into a rave that's absolutely banging off with like thumping tunes.
Time and place.
I'd play. I don't think there's nothing I wouldn't play. But cheesy wise, see, I thought about the Gloria Gaynor one, but I didn't think of one for myself. People think that like I got a comment on one of the videos today. That was off Dave as well, Dave Gray, who Cheeky Tracks. He said he commented on Si's episode, Si Kennedy's.
Yeah. And
we were talking about System F Out the Blue.
Yeah.
He said that's a mega cheese tune. I don't think it's that cheesy.
No, it's a classic, that, man.
It's a classic, but
it's probably been played to bits, and it's been sampled to bits, and it's been in more films than
So cheese, I'd go for. Fuck it, I play Vinger Boys in my set. There's a tune, right? You might know it, you might not. I don't know if you were into that sort of scene at that time, but Clubheads did an official remix of "We Like the Party," and it's actually fucking banging. Like it's not. It doesn't come across as cheesy. It doesn't come across as cheesy one bit. It's got the "We Like the Party" sample.
Yeah.
But it's basically just a big donk tune. It's class. But I like Up and Down as well. That's a good tune. Yeah. Boom Boom Boom. All Finger Boy stuff.
I've also got a guilty pleasure with country music, man.
Country music. Go on. Who do you like?
There's an artist called Sam. Oh, blimey heck, what's his name again? Can't mind. Sam. I'm just going to Spotify.
But what are your country music fan like?
Not massively. I got introduced to this album by Radio 1.
Imagine what it would do for us. Like, you put one of your tunes on Radio 1, it's like you got introduced to this country artist, and they've gained a new follower.
Sam Hunt is the guy's name, and Montevello was the album, and it's an album from, I want to say 2012, 2013, something like that maybe.
Right.
Something about that, and I got introduced to it through Radio 1. Radio 2. Radio 2 do a thing during the day where they'll play a track. They'll have an album of the week and they'll play a track every day off that album, and that's how I got hooked on that album. And it's just sort of spun out for there, just wee bits, but it's one of the in the car yourself singing it.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Where there's nobody else with you, do you know what I mean?
You wouldn't tell anyone you've listened to it as well. Somehow it's ended up in your 22 Wrapped. Yeah.
Just tell the world.
Yeah. Wasn't me. That wasn't me, that. Also, as well, while you're on about sort of thinging, I told a story on last week's podcast when I was on with Easy about getting recognised by a thing. I wanted to sort of talk about that.
Oh, right.
Because I name dropped you on it, and I apologise if
no, not at all, man.
Basically, I was telling you the crack about the fella when I broke down. He'd come from North Shield or whatever, and he's probably watching the podcast now. He said a big fan of the podcast. He discovered it off watching the clips, and basically, what was it you said back? You was like, it was. Oh, sorry, it was your son's bike.
Aye,
right.
I was selling my boy's bike, and the guy was talking to his missus online. Sorted dates and times out to come and have a look, and he came with a look, and he recognised me from this podcast, man. Drove my missus mental, so I'll need to live with this forever now. Just YouTube famous, you know what I mean? I'm not famous.
So when you came back into the lad, where did you sit down, big grin on your face, like
big cheesy grin? She's
I
like,
recognised.
You'll be unbearable for the next few days. I was like,
do you know I am? Class. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. I know we talked about it off pod, but I thought it was worth mentioning just because it's so people are watching it and they're getting onto the guests. I have had people come to me and say, I've connected one person I know to another. Does that make sense? So, for instance, I had so mine's gone blank now. I've said this, but I had a guest on, and I had a lad who follows my music saying, "Oh, I'm a massive follower of." Could have been Cy Kennedy's episode again. He said, I'm a big follower of trance and that, and I've discovered his music via you, and it is connecting people, the podcast, and it's something I'm really grateful for, because
that's kind of what we're going to try and do with the SoundCloud angle for now. We're
just sort of connect names and
bringing mixes in, any sort of mix, anything you've heard in that month that you want to play, just put it on the page, and hopefully that'll introduce the listeners of that to stuff we're doing and other stuff we're listening to, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all we're hoping to do with that, man.
Excellent. Next question is, who is your dream collaboration for writing a track? If you were to write a track with a producer, or and that's from Mitchell.
Oh wow! Anybody in the world?
Anybody at all? Yeah. So money's not an object.
Money's not an object. I'd have to go for one of the big trans names, man. I think it would either have to be a Callahan or a Brian Carney or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It would probably need to be a Callahan, proper old school. But it would be under John Callahan. It would be under. He wouldn't be done under his Joint Operations Centre, because that's heavy, man. That's really heavy stuff for me.
Right, yeah. So
I think it was John Callahan.
Not a bad answer, to be honest with you. It's a good name. For me, dream collaboration. I'd like to work. There's a few people I like to work with. Like the dream for me would be like Ferry Colston. I think he's just a. You don't call many people legends, but like he's a true pioneer of that sound.
Oh, for that sound, aye.
So it'd be like someone like a Ferry Colston I'd like to work with. Do you know? I've been reading. I watched a Joe Rogan podcast, and it was with that Rick Rubin. Do you know?
Yes, Rick Rubin. Rubin, huge music producer, and he did.
But he's not.
Did he discover the Beastie Boys, or did he produce the first couple of albums?
He produced their albums.
Did he produce Jay-Z's
99
Problems, stuff like that? Huh?
So I would like, because he said he said himself on the podcast. He said he doesn't call himself a producer as such, more of a consultant. I might have misinterpreted that, but that's what I got. So he comes in, and you could produce something, and he'll give you feedback and
pointers you'd like to have a look at.
So if I was to do something, I've got a bit obsessed with him recently. When I've been watching him, and I'd love for him to come in to me wrote a track and him just pull out, just so I can see how his brain works. I've got a big thing about psychology. I like to see, well, why would you change that, or why did you not like that part? Like some people would say, "Oh, I'd change that," and they don't have a reason what they would. But I'd love to see why he's got so much success, and for the little changes that he makes. Does that make sense?
Tick, aye.
And I love like.
It's a good answer, man. That's a blinding answer, you know.
Well, do you know something? It's because I think I've thought about it a little bit. Like, because I had a fucking big fucking discussion the other night with one of my mates, and it was they don't understand why I podcast. They don't. They said, why do you sit there and talk shit to people for X amount of time? And it's like, because
that's what we were talking about before off pod, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's
conversation.
It's art conversation's a dying thing, right? And I just wanted to say that, like, I am obsessive. I think I've got maybe some sort of mental problem with. You might not notice it on the surface, but when you go, I've got a mental thing of like, if I enjoy somebody's work, I fucking know everything about them. Like, see, with production,
yeah,
I like to be. I don't compare. I like compare myself to myself to become better.
Yeah.
But if I want to be the best, I've got to find who is the best person and why they're the best person. Why are they regarded to being the best?
What makes them better, right?
Yeah. So that, to me, you need to compare yourself to the best to be the best.
It's a logical thing, that, though.
But they don't understand it. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
Their thing is, well, I'm just happy with my creativity and that's what I do. I'm like, that's fair enough, okay. But for me, I sat and watched that 3+ hour podcast of Rick Rubin, and he talks about so much shit on it, like stuff that I'm not interested in. He talks about his diet, for instance, and I have no interest in that. But I just listened to the 3-hour podcast. If I can pull 4 minutes worth of knowledge of his that I can implement into my music, fucking, I've won. And she's like, yeah, but you've wasted 3 hours. Okay, I wasted 3 hours of a day watching Avatar. It's one of the things. It's like, if I can pull 3 or 4 minutes worth of valuable little knowledge or tricks or something, then I'm satisfied.
It's that old thing. But you used to, when you went to a club, you could tell who the DJs were and who the clubbers were. Yeah. Because the DJs were at the front, looking at the edge of the box to see what was going on. And
exactly.
What's he done there? How's he done that? When did he start that track? He started that track earlier. I would have started. Why has he done that? See, I still do it. See, when we've got guys playing for us, there's a few guys, like Phil Bridges. Yeah. Phil Bridges, when Phil Bridges is mixing, it looks as if he's not doing anything. Yeah. Because it's just dead relaxed. I'm touching knobs and moving stuff and turning stuff up and turning stuff down and messing with stuff, and he's just dead smooth. Dan's the same, so Scott. Just dead smooth. But I watch people. I know it sounds strange, but you're saying that I watch people when they're mixing though. I'm
a people watcher though. I if she's shopping, I love watching people's mannerisms. Like, you don't realise how different people are until you sit and watch them.
I do it. See when we're at festivals. Yeah. See if we're on the stage.
You see more
the lights are always facing out into the crowd, so they can't see you, but you can just sit behind and watch people, man. I've done it for a year.
Yeah. The thing is, though, like, you don't realise how different people's experiences. They're all at the same festival, all having different experiences, and I think it's absolutely madness.
That's what makes it, though. That's what makes the experience so good. Do you know what I mean?
So I'll give you a little side story. This is nothing to do with music or fuck all. Me and I were in Liverpool shopping. I'd actually been recording a podcast that day. Jeez, I'm just nipping in here. I says, I'll just wait out here. It was a nice day and that. And I think I was having like a milkshake or something. I was sitting there, my little lad had fell asleep in the pram. And I just, people watching, whatever. And then I looked over. It'd be a real busy day right in the middle of the Liverpool one. Sitting there and watching. And I watched somebody's marriage break down right in front of me. Like,
no way.
Right, she ended it there and then. And she was saying things like about I knew a lot about their life and didn't know who they were. Like, you know what I mean? It's like about they've got kids and they've got 3 kids and all this and breakdown. And do you know something? It was only me who noticed this. Like, I was sitting there, I was just watching it, and it wasn't like a big brawl or anything like that. It was just a very subtle. You could tell it was at the end, right?
Oh wow!
And I just thought, people are just walking past, and they're all having different experiences in life right now. One of these people could be going for a job interview that changes their life forever. It sounds like I'm just talking shit now, but
I know what you mean. No,
like everyone's going through, and you're all in that same place at the one time.
Everybody's in the same place, but they're in their own bubble.
And their relationship ended right there in front of my eyes.
That's mad.
And nobody other than me, there might have been some people who cottoned onto it a little bit and walking past, but seen it, and it just happened there. It's like, that's
insane.
Like, say at the same time, he's another thing, and I sound weird saying this, and people are going to be listening going, he's a fucking weirdo, him, like. But I seen this woman come and sat next to us. She was mid-20s, something like that, and she's come dead happy. Like, she said, I hadn't that much sat down, sitting, and then my missus was taking a piss. We were there she was in there 20 minutes or so. This last one was, and you could tell she's getting agitated, and I'm thinking, whatever's happening. And as I said, people watching, I didn't let on or anything like that. And she's getting restless. She starts walking back and forth, and I'm thinking, strange. And she looks sad. She looks like she's going to cry or whatever. And sort of 5 minutes goes by, and this lad come. And honestly, big beaming smile on her face. Obviously, I think she thought she'd been stood up. That's what I've gathered.
Right.
And just people watching, you wouldn't have noticed that just walking past.
No.
So I think it's good when I'm always sober when I go to clubs and stuff like that. So it's like, you see things
you
and
see
it's
more.
like weird. It's like, you're all having different experience. This is somebody's best night out of their life, and you don't even know it. Do you think as a DJ as well, or as a barman, or as a bouncer, you're just there working, but you could be standing next to somebody who's just had the most memorable moment of their life. Do you know what I mean? They've heard a tune and it'll stick with them forever. I think it's a fucking crazy psychology. I'm sorry for going off on one there. But
no. I've been in that situation. I've been in clubs where you've heard a track and it has completely, totally, not utterly blown your mind, man. Yeah. There was a track on Vandit, Jam and Spoon did it. Be Angel, it was called.
Right.
And we went to see Paul van Dyk. I probably told this story, I don't know. We've gone to see Paul van Dyk at Cream. Stood in the middle of the dance floor. And the track breaks down. And I think it's a mandolin maybe that's been sampled. And it breaks down, it goes right through the breakdown. And just before the drop, Angel. And it kicked in. Fuck me. Spent weeks tracking the record down.
Thinking about that moment.
Record shops, never. And I've still got the record.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the moments, whenever you hear it, it's just instantly transports you back to that moment on the dance floor.
And yet there'd have been, say, like a bouncer or a barman in there, just another fucking day on the job for them.
Totally. The guy, the two up fees, could have it's just another track.
Yeah, but to you it's connected there.
Blew my mind.
I'd say that shit blows my mind. I love little things like it. I think that's partly why I'm a DJ, because the way you can control the mood of a room and a dance floor, and like if you've got, not everyone's tuned in. That's a thing that DJs need to realise. You'll never have a fully tuned in room, and if you do, it's a special moment. But you've got this core audience that's on the dance floor in front of you, and they're waiting for every next track that you do, and it's like, it's weird how you're controlling that room, and I think that's partly why I'm a DJ, because like you can set the tone, you can change the tone, you can bring it down, you can give.
That's what it's all about, man. Isn't it?
It's weird, isn't it?
Creating that atmosphere.
I think that's why I DJ on the fly as well, because you don't know what they want until you're there, do you? Really. Yeah. What's the hardest part of being a DJ or a producer? And that's from Niall Hutchie.
The hardest part of being a DJ. Being critical, man. The hardest part for me is me. Like you'll be the same. If you put a mix together,
self criticism.
I put a mix together. I'll sit and tear it to bits. For ages. Play it to Rachel and she'll be like, "That's great." No, but what about that? I never heard that. Play it back. No, you're hearing something. I'll be hearing stuff she's not hearing. Do you know what I mean? I'm aware of stuff she's not aware of. So the hardest part of being a DJ is self-criticism, I think. For me, it is, man.
Well, I think the hardest part as a DJ, I don't know whether you feel the same way or not, but do you not think, fucking, we're a million miles away from everyone? Like, the travel is like, go to gigs. It's I like driving, so if I was a DJ who didn't like driving, and I know there's a lot out there, I don't think they'd do it very long. Like, I think the DJ thing would die off for them just because of the travel.
Yeah.
We're 2 hours away from everyone.
Yeah, basically, well, I mean, don't get me wrong, loads of local gigs and that, but like you say, travelling, I mean, you'll do a lot more travelling than me. Your scene's...
It's not even... There is a scene round here, but it's not...
It's a North England thing as well, isn't it? It's a Northern England thing, but yeah, travelling, man. I don't mind the travelling. I mean, we've been fairly lucky with promoters and stuff that are really good. Like I play in Penrith, and Marv Robinson, he organises gigs out there, and it's brilliant. I mean, properly looked after as well. We've got a hotel, we've got breakfast and stuff like that. It's good night. There's another couple of them coming up. Keep your eyes open, watch socials and stuff.
Excellent.
Wee bit of self-promotion there, right?
No, it's fine. It's so you can do it, but that's what it's about. But for me, like, it was good years ago for me.
Yeah.
Because years ago I had a couple of carfuls. Like, go down and it's like you're hyped with your mates. You've got
take the trips with you. Aye.
Yeah, and you go down. Everyone's on that fucking way to have a good time wavelength. Now we're older. We've all got different fucking responsibilities. Kids,
Priorities
misses.
change, man.
Yeah, priorities change. So now I'm lucky if I get one or two people in the car. And tomorrow night, for instance, New Year's Eve, Sanctuary, Morecambe. I'm advertising it like thing, but this isn't out for a few weeks, so it's been and gone. But yeah, it was dead good, by the way. No.
Chop.
But the thing is, though, like, I've got two people coming with me tomorrow, and it feels weird. It does, because like I'm used to just traveling for hours on my own. Like,
yeah.
I have a rule. If it's more than 2 hours away now, I stay over, take the missus with us, and we make out. So I've played Birmingham a couple of times recently, and it's like, all right, then make a night away of it, and we'll go and see some friends who live down there. Or
That's what we do. We tend to make it like, if it's a Saturday night, we'll make the Sunday of it and go shopping or whatever else. Because 9 times out of 10 when you play, I'll have a drink when I play, but I don't get drunk because that's when shit starts to go drastically wrong, man. Stuff spirals out of control when you get drunk, man. I'll have a couple of beers to the point where like I can't drive back to the venue, but
nothing
that's going to make us lie in bed for the next day. Do you know what I mean? So get up whenever we get up, have some breakfast and have a mooch about wherever we're at, man.
That's what we do.
I think that's a growing up thing as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I was younger, he'd probably got absolutely trolleyed. Do you know what I mean?
But as I say, you'd have the troops with you. So, So
young
it's
team would be there.
understandable. Yeah. But, the travelling aspect of it for me is a big one. But now, I don't mind it as much because I enjoy driving it for one.
Yeah.
But the thing is, see if I'm on a 2 hour drive, I'll make a little evening of it, right? And I'll go and do a podcast with someone before the gig. So it's like two birds, one stone. Really.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. So it takes a little bit of the thing off, but you're still there for fucking hours on end in the car. I sit and listen to podcasts as if there's somebody in the car with me. And I fucking start arguing back with people and that. Where you think that's here? Fuck you! This is getting turned off. Fucking mute you.
I usually roll up to the venue playing like country or something in the morning. Folk open it like, "What are you listening to?" You'll never believe it.
I've done that before. For me, I've always I've picked people up on the way to gigs. Obviously, people want to save money on fuel and shit like that. So right, whatever. So and they've got in the car and I've had Elvis Presley on and they're like, oh right. No, for me, I like this is maybe another psychological thing for me as well. If I'm on my own, I listen to podcasts on the way down.
Yeah.
Say it's a 2 hour drive, half an hour before the end. If I'm playing a bounce night, I'll start listening to sort of early trance or something like that. Something like 138, 140, just to get me warmed up.
Yeah.
Right. And on the way back, I will listen to something so subtle. Like I'll maybe have there's a lad who does Radio 2, sort of midnight Saturday night. Don't know who it is, but he's got a really low tone voice, very relaxing voice, and he introduces the next track. This is piano sessions, right? And I'm like, you'll do. Like he's not there going, it's Saturday night, everyone. I've already just came out the rave there.
Need something a wee bit.
Subtle, quality. I'll listen to a podcast where I know they're not going to go wild. So, like for instance, I won't go and listen to like a Brian Cox podcast with Joe Rogan.
Aye.
Because I know if I listen to a Joey Diaz one, they start fucking shouting and screaming. I'm just like, I've just had that. Do you know what I mean?
I've just spent the last 3 years.
Yeah. So that for me, it's travel. And as a producer, is fucking. I find that not so much now, but I can put my bounce tunes out, and if I send it to somebody, I know like a label will take it. Or that sounds very stuck up, but I don't mean it like that. I mean, they'll say, "Oh, maybe change this," and I'll take it. It'll suit my style, because I've got a lot of connections within the sort of scene. But when I try and do other genres, fuck me, because you're not in on that scene, you don't get replies on emails.
Oh, really?
It's like, send demos here, email the demo, the file is never to be open. Rob Kane talked about it on his last one. He's trying to break house music. Do you know what I mean? He's been doing house now for the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And he sent it out. I sent 100 emails out. He says on a thing. I feel bad for the listeners because they've already heard the story, but sent it out and he didn't get any replies or automatic rejections and stuff like that.
It's terrible, man. It's terrible.
And I've sent my house tunes out. I did a bit of I did house. I did a breakbeat tune. Never heard anything back, and it's just like,
that's another thing we're looking at doing with the brand. We've spoke about it. I don't know if we're going to go ahead, but we're looking at starting a 4-play record label, man.
Yeah.
Seeing how it goes, because there's a couple of guys that are producing, and we've got loads of mates, and we've got a fair few connections to scenes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was just one of the things, but again, it's something that's going to take up a fair amount of time.
Yeah.
So we're going to sit down and work it out between us to see what's viable and what's not viable.
A piece of advice, and this is to you
Yeah.
and to anyone watching as well who's wanting to do it. It's very, very time consuming. So
I can imagine. So
if you're a creative mind and you don't have the admin side of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, just fucking send your music to a label, because, like, I purposely have the label for my own music. That's what I put it out for. And anyone else who wants to release video, I don't mind doing the admin and stuff to it. But as a creative, it can be very frustrating when you want to sit and write a track, and you're sitting there wanting to get and you've got to go through the admin.
You've got admin to go through. Aye, that's one of the
really
things you need to
fucking
get right.
frustrating. It can bother you mentally sometimes. Sometimes because you've got fucking not deadlines to me, but like, right, this tune needs to be out by this, so I need to start doing the marketing for this tune. And it's like, but I could be writing this tune I've got in my head right now, and it's like, like, you've only got so much time in the day. So if you're gonna do it, my advice would be just be prepared for it's hard work.
Very hard work, admin.
Admin. And if you are a creative man and who's got all these ideas, fucking note them down, because you'll lose them.
I've got to write everything down at the minute anyway.
I do that, honestly. It's bad. Yeah, like, I'm bad for it. My notes folder, I was trying to stay organised with my notes, and right now it's just notes for days and days, because podcast notes, podcast questions, tracks that's caught my ear, and it's just like, fucking hell. Editing times I need to change for editing the podcast. Mixes need done. Messages I need to reply to, because I've got this another thing as well. Where before we end, I'll talk about this. It's I've got this thing that I've always got the respect of everybody. If I don't know you, you've automatically got a set base of respect. If you're a dick, it goes down. If you're all right, obviously naturally grow. But I always make the time of day to reply to everybody. If you send me your music and it's just a fucking kick drum with a ting donk can just going bonk, and it's not even in key or out like that, I will give you the time of day to tell you why it's not so good. Do you know what I mean? Because I was there at that point once before.
You need that feedback to grow, though.
Yeah. So I would love like anyone who, and I'll make a note on my phone, and I might even message him saying, "Listen, mate, I'm just at work, or I've just put my little lad to bed. Give me X amount of time and I'll get back to you." And I'll make a note of it in my phone of what it's about, and then I know once I'm in my room and fucking knock the monitors on or headphones on, I can give you honest critical feedback. Same with, like, I had a guy recently message about he's just starting up an event. I want to start up an event. I'm thinking about booking DJs, blah blah blah, and who would you recommend and stuff like that. I says, right, give us half an hour. I'll just get my jobs done that I'm doing in the house, and then I'll come back to you. And it's one of them things. He's just somebody who's, I don't know him. If Sim in the street, I wouldn't know who he was. But it's just somebody I'd like to give people help. I don't want to be over. Now I'll put this out there. I don't want to be overwhelmed with everything. But I do try and have the respect of everybody to reply to them.
Yeah, man. It's common courtesy, isn't it, man? Yeah.
But you can see why some big names don't reply, because sometimes you get nonsensical stuff like through where it's like, what am I meant to do with this information? Like, like, some of it's nothing to do with, say, music or out like that. Like, I'm not shitting on anybody who watches this, by the way. I apologise in advance. I was going to say I'll cut this bit out, but I'm going to leave it in. I had a message the other day on the podcast page.
Right.
Hi, Brad. I'm not going to say who it is, because I'm fucking, as I say, I've got respect for people.
Yeah.
Hi, Brad. Any chance you can lend me 50 quid? I was just like, who are you? Like, 'cause the thing was, I had to think of who it was.
Aye.
Not friends with them on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. To follow the page.
Right.
And I'm like, is it a scam? But like is it a scam? But then I looked at his profile. It's a real person. This guy's he's wrote. It's not as if like it's like during the automated scams where it's like click this or whatever. It's like he was like, I just want to get on the booze, go out on a mad. It was Mad Friday. It was.
Right.
Want to go out Mad Friday? Just 50 quid and I'll give you back payday. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. Like, how am I meant to reply to this?
Do you think social media is bringing people together falsely? Is that the right?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. So, for instance, this is a good one. Right. I went to Blackout Electric Soup Blackout Crew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I went to that a couple of weeks ago, and it was really good. By the way, fucking shout Johnny and that they put on a good show.
Yeah.
And this is I'm being critical of myself here. I'm not being critical of anyone else. I turned up there and a lot of people know me from the podcast, recognise the face. Blah, 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 blah. And somebody said to me, what was it they said? What was it? It was about shitting myself, right? I don't know if you've seen the clip or not, but basically I told a story about shitting myself. Someone came up to me and just for the split second, I was like, what the hell the fuck? Like, as this rumour got round. And then I realised these people know me on a personal level or feel like that this is this fake thing about me.
This is what I was trying to...
Yeah. I mean? So the people think... it's not just me, by the way. There's people much, much bigger than I am. But because they're into bounce and they watch the podcast, they're like, we know each other. And I'm like, and I just had to like... get my bearings together because it was a lass I've never seen him before in my life. And she came up to me and she's like, blah, 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 and she said about shit myself. I was like, yeah, and then it clicked on and in my head it remembered. But I've got to remember that I'm talking to an audience and it's like, oh shit, like what? Like I've just told fucking X amount of people I've shit myself. Oh no! But like, and she's asking questions about how like this, that, and the other, and I'm like, wow, a lot of my life's documented
on these podcasts,
but you don't realise it. But these people are genuinely connected to what your story is or what another guest story is. Like they might see you and go, all right, Chris, I love that, and you might not know who they are, but like they've got a personal connection with you, and it's, as you say, it's a false one. I do love the people who listen to the podcast. I love that they're sitting there listening to me talk shit for an hour, but at the same time, I don't know them, so I don't have a personal connection with them. You don't have a personal
connection with them, man. The connection's one way, though. The connection's coming in the way from the last.
But I do appreciate that every single person who watches it, don't get me wrong. And I appreciate that people come to me as well. It's like, all right, how's it doing? How are you doing? And stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, sound.
Famous, man.
No, it's not famous. It's not. It's not because I can go out. I can go into McDonald's, right? And no one will know who I am. There might be the odd person, but nobody knows who I am. You go to a bounce rave and it's everybody who watches the podcast, so they all know, the podcast is class.
Yeah.
So it's only when you're in the walls of a nightclub that somebody knows you. Really, it's like we've got a couple of thousand views a week. Like it's doing quite well. If you would put that in the percentage of the people who live in the UK, it's an absolute tiny amount. You're not famous and you're not. But to the people who care about the music, you are a personality.
Yes,
that's the way I would look at it.
That's not a bad description, actually.
You're a personality. Yeah. You're not. I don't think it's fame. Fame's not famous is Justin Bieber, where you can't go shopping. Do you know what I mean? Like you couldn't go down to the Aldi and be like, fucking go get your loaf of bread without somebody like fucking getting the paper the next day. Oh, Justin Bieber shops at Aldi. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's one of them things. So for me, that's what it is. It's like you're not famous and you're not people love you for who you are as a personality, and they get to watch you. And they might be sitting there thinking they're in the room with us, or it feels like it. Because I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, and I know loads.
I've started listening to Joe Rogan's.
It's class. But I know loads about Joe Rogan. But if he see me in the street, he wouldn't know I listen to him.
There's the connection. That's what the connection is, man. Aye.
So we'll just finish up today, mate. I think we've got a bit longer than expected, but it is what it is. It's been
Thanks
fun.
very much for having us on, man.
Is there anything to plug for the new year?
just keep an eye on Foreplay. Some big changes. Solfest, get your tickets. It was amazing last year. It's going to be even bigger this year. I've heard a couple of names bandied about. I've heard Peter Hook bandied about. So we'll just wait and see. But yeah, keep an eye on socials, and we will be starting to use our SoundCloud page as a base from 2nd of January.
No worries.
Brand new in the year. But thanks very much for having us, man.
No
It's
worries.
been a
If you've
blast.
enjoyed the podcast, check out Chris on his socials. He's on Instagram, Facebook. Obviously going to be on SoundCloud.
Yep.
Check out their radio show. I know it's the last one and it's probably been and gone, but is there a way they can people that listen back to
We're going through the socials now, and we're putting all of the radio shows
on
SoundCloud.
How many is there roughly? Do you know? Yeah, I've got the recordings though.
Yeah, we've got all recorded. I think there's probably 100 and something shows. I think we've done.
That's good.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot, and
if you want your fix for listening to a bit of disco and stuff, you've got 150 episodes worth.
150 odd episodes or some. And as I say, keep an eye on SoundCloud page. We will be pushing new artists, old artists, people we're into, stuff we're hearing, stuff we're liking, tracks, mixes, all sorts.
Excellent. If you've enjoyed the podcast, then share it with your mates. That's what I say every week, because that's how we grow. Yeah, we've got the TikTok and everything like that, and that helps us, but there's nothing better than word of mouth. So if you've enjoyed it and you're in work and you know somebody who likes this music, just say, here, have you checked these lot out, because they're talking about what you're interested in.
Yep.
And there we go, we get another listener. So that's what it is. If you've got any questions for the podcast, at It's Time to Refresh on Instagram, send them there. That's the best place. Thanks for listening. See you again soon.
Cheers, guys.